Net proceeds from our show, Sports Medicine Weekly, go to support orthopedic research at Rush through the liveactivenow.org fund. Our producer is Shane Reardon. Our coordinating producer, Teresa Ann Seeger. This is Sports Medicine Weekly, Chicago's premier sports medicine program, coming your way each and every Saturday between 8 and 9 a.m., only on 670 The Score. Steve Kashul, Dr. Brian Cole. Dr. Cole coming up on Wednesday, October 3rd, 2018, the third annual Chicago Sports Summit. I attended my first one last year, and it was worth the 2-hour ride from Naperville. I'll put it that way.
You know, it's one of my favorite things that we've
great.
ever
It really
done.
was.
Yeah, we had probably 350 people show up last year, and people in Chicago have been very gracious, but now we have guests from all over the country, and the topics are sort of the things that people are reading and seeing about most in the media and in sports and in medicine. And I'm really proud of it. This year, our proceeds are going to go to After School Matters, supporting after-school programming for our youth. Girls in the Game, which has been around a long time, an organization in Chicago, similarly providing opportunities for women that they may not otherwise have to participate and remain active in sports, and then also to support research in the Department of Sports Medicine at Rush. So it's a big event. It's only a half day, so it's a lot of value for a half day. And this year, some of the timely topics are women in sports. This is really going to be a time we're going to hear from some of the most influential women who are really responsible for breaking down some of the barriers in the world of sports from the beginning of Title IX until now. So one of the most, I think, interesting topics. We have one that's going to talk about the team behind the team, some of the stuff that you and I speak about every Saturday morning, Steve, on what it takes to get an athlete healthy and keep them that way. And then the thing that's always exciting we're going to have some of the top management from all of our sports teams in Chicago sitting on a panel, and also a team of Chicago All-Stars. So
Rick Hahn, Chicago White Sox, the general manager, Michael Reinsdorf, the president and chief operating officer of the Chicago Bulls. That's going to be fun to hear some of these people, the view from top. And then the Chicago All-Stars, right? You got Matt Forte, former Chicago Bear, is going to be at the event. Jack O'Callahan, right? He played on that famous Olympic hockey team that beat the Russians. And, boy, that'll be fun stuff, really fun stuff. We've got, speaking of the women in sports, Dr. Cole, we've got one of them on right now. Olympic icon who at the 2008 Summer Games in Beijing, she became the oldest swimmer ever to compete in the Olympic Games at age 41. Dara Torres is with us on the line from Boston, Massachusetts. And Dara, thanks so much for joining us here on Sports Medicine Weekly.
Hey, thanks for having me on. I'm very excited to be chatting with you guys today.
So this, I'd love for you to just think ahead. And have you been on a panel before where you've really, discussed these issues of, either gender inequality or, some of the challenges of women in sports? Is that, I have to imagine that's been a topic in the past that you've been asked to address.
I think the biggest topic that I've been asked to address is more about equality in sports, like with Title IX and having the girls and women play the same amount of sports as the men do, and like stuff like that. I mean, I was fortunate enough not to be affected with not having Title IX. Title IX came into effect when before I'd gone to college, so I was very lucky to have benefited from Title IX. But I can't imagine what it was like before it came into effect.
Do you think though that like today? May I ask do you have a daughter?
I do.
And is she athletic and involved in sports?
Yeah, she plays lacrosse, field hockey, and swims a little bit.
Do you have you had these discussions with her at all, or does she ever bring up, what's going on today, and have these differences really been mitigated, and what are besides the obvious, the Me Too movement and things like that you and I read about each day, but sort of on the field, the opportunities that are presented to her versus her age matched boys that are doing the same things. Are they topics of discussion?
Not quite yet. I mean, she just turned 12,
yeah.
And she actually sits and watches Major League Baseball and hockey and like all these different
my kind of girl.
men's
Love it.
sports, So, and I don't even watch half those things that she watches, but
Yeah.
she loves sports. There are questions that come up. I know when the soccer team wasn't having the equal pay that the men's, professional soccer team was having. I know that she had asked me some questions about that, and that was, I don't know, like a couple of years ago or a year and a half ago or something, and with World Cup and stuff. And, it's something that we talk about every now and then, but haven't had like a super in-depth discussion yet. But believe me, that's something when maybe like in a year or two when she can really understand it, I want to be able to, sit down and talk to her about the past and what's happened and how it's changed over the years and how women are actually, and girls are benefiting much more than it did, say, like 10 or 20 years ago.
Our guest is Dara Torres, 5-time Olympian, 12-time medalist here on Sports Medicine Weekly. Dara will be on the panel when the 2018 Chicago Sports Summit hits town once again. It's October 3rd from 7 a.m. till noon at the Hyatt Regency Hotel in Chicago. Dara will be joined by Diane Simpson, U.S. Olympic gymnast, Lindsay Tarpley, U.S. Olympic soccer player, Kendall Coyne, a U.S. Olympic hockey player, and Aaron Kane, Vice President of Talent at Octagon. And Dr. Nick Verma from Midwest Orthopedics at Rush is going to do the introductions. And I want to ask you, Dara, what kind of barriers are there still for women in sports?
Well, I think the most recent barriers have been equal pay for women, considering that the men are always paid so much more than the women in different sports, whether it's golf, I know tennis, they're now making it more equal. I mean, I think that's a big thing that I think that women have really fought for, to get equal pay, that, the men and women should be equal. I mean, we're trying just as hard, we're working out just as hard, we're training just as hard. Like, why can't we have equal pay that the men have? So I think that's probably the biggest that has stuck out most recently.
Last year, the Chicago Sports Summit Foundation raised $50,000 to support After School Matters, a nonprofit organization that provides after-school activities, including dance, music, and sports, to at-risk children and teens in Chicago. Is this how this started, Dr. Cole? I mean, you're thinking about, I know because you and I talked about it years and years ago when it was first coming together. We were doing Sports Medicine Weekly, and you said, I want to do a summit and bring together athletes and the owners and all these different, factions of people.
Sure.
Right?
Like
I remember
Boston.
you talking about that.
I'll tell you, like Boston, where Dara lives, Chicago obviously is an amazing sports town. We have a number of sports teams, with the same sport. And so there's, I wouldn't call it redundancy, but there's all these allegiances and some, it's a huge socioeconomic part of our city is sports. And it's the one common denominator that I think bridges all these gaps. I think most importantly, it's one of those things that provides opportunities for our youth to stay out of trouble and provides programming. And I think that when you look at kids, and I deal with a lot of high school and college kids, there's no question the ones that have had the opportunity, the privilege to keep playing sports from an early age, and whether they've stayed injury-free or not, the fact that it keeps their lives organized is one of the most critical aspects. And the thing that gets them into trouble is when they just don't have enough going on or enough sort of structure in their lives. And sports is one of those things that instantaneously provide structure. There really isn't anything like it. As soon as you get plugged into an organization like that, no matter what level, could be club sport, could be school, it gives them structure. So I thought that, really important for the city of Chicago with all the challenges we have, and it would provide sort of this level of awareness. So the first year we focused a lot on, management and how these sports teams relate to the city and the impact they have on sort of our economy. And last year we did violence in Chicago. And that really had a tremendous impact. So we kind of always pick a theme. And this year, a lot of people requested us to really address some of the challenges that women have in sports. So, Dar, whether you know it or not, you are this is the most important panel we have of the four is going to be women in sports. So we really look forward to having you. And I'm grateful that you've agreed to come.
Oh, I mean, I'm honored you asked me. And, it's funny you talk about structure in sports, and it's so true. I really feel like sports is such a great outlet, or any kind of athletics, even exercise is just so important for everyone. I mean, not just kids, but for everyone. And the fact that you're providing that for, kids that aren't as fortunate and women and girls that aren't as fortunate is very, it's just a wonderful thing that you're doing.
Thank you.
Again, our guest, Dara Torres, 5-time Olympian, 12-time medalist, one of the greatest female competitive swimmers of all time. And final question I had for you, Dara, was tell me about the Olympics. Is there a big difference between how the men are treated and how the women are treated even today?
Not that I know of. I actually, it's very equal, and that's why, to me, I wasn't really around the non-equality that has been happening. In the Olympics, they treat everyone the same. We get the same clothing, we get the same pay, we get, everything's the same. I mean, the only thing that differs is actually the press are the ones who kind of choose who to focus on, who's going to kind of be the star of the Olympics, and then whoever they kind of pick ends up sort of being the darling of the Olympics, and then the deals come, and that's how they sort of make their money. But as far as like being a part of a NGB, a national governing body, or the USOC, we're all pretty much treated equal, and it's so I've never really had to face the inequality that has happened amongst a lot of the athletes over the years.
Great stuff. Dara Torres. Dara, we look forward to seeing you in person Wednesday, October 3rd from 8 a.m. till noon, again at the Hyatt Regency Hotel in Chicago on Upper Wacker Drive for the 2018 Chicago Sports Summit. And Dr. Cole, I imagine tickets are still available, and people, you can buy a table, right?
Yep.
Or come as an individual?
Yeah, we're looking, obviously, always like in any fundraising event for table sponsors or gold, silver sponsors and so forth. But also just, as an individual, it's only a morning, it's a breakfast. It's, I would say, incredibly high value. We get so many positive comments after this meeting. The media covers it. It's just really interesting. There's nothing like it in Chicago ever that combines all of these individuals from different walks of life. So the ChicagoSportsSummit.com. That's where people can go to learn about it, the ChicagoSportsSummit.com. There's still some individual tickets available and the opportunity for table sponsorship, and it's Wednesday, October 3rd, 2018, from 8 a.m. to noon at the Hyatt Regency Hotel. That's 151 East Upper Wacker Drive, and it's just always a great experience. I'm looking forward to it. Steve, and I expect to see you there.
I will be there. Looking forward to it as well. Dara, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you. I look forward to seeing you guys out there, and I hope everyone comes and buys a table and comes and meets us. I'm looking forward to it.
Fantastic.
Likewise.
All right. Thanks so much, Dara Torres. Dr. Cole and I will take a break. Back with more of Sports Medicine Weekly after these messages.
On 670, The Score.